Hello there, World of Tankers, and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, World of Blitz, and in today's video, I'll be going over the Tier 10 changes for the German vehicles of Blitz. I have to be real, Wargaming has lost their mind. A year ago, on Update 9.1, Wargaming basically made all autoloaders overpowered. The TVP got a 1.5 second intro clip from what was a 2 second intro clip. The AMX 50B got an extra shell added into the clip. The 57 Heavy got shell reload boost. The 4005 got shell reload boost and an additional shell added to the clip. Basically, all of the autoloaders became insanely deadly, and even a 40%er could make a YOLO and ruin your game for it. This update, a year later, Wargaming is planning on redoing all of Tier 10. There is two problems with that. First of all, when you redo all of the tier without balancing each of the tanks individually in small patches, what ends up happening is you have no clue what is actually going to be the outcome of all of these vehicles' changes. The second problem with what Wargaming is doing is they literally do not test their tanks. I have a friend who knows somebody that works on the dev team in Wargaming, and he literally asked him, do you test tanks before you release them? And the answer was an astounding no. We literally do not test vehicles before they are introduced into the game. So essentially what this means is that Wargaming just says, let's change a bunch of vehicles, changes them and throws them into the battle matchmaker without literally knowing any idea what the changes are really going to do and the ramifications to the matchmaker. So in today's video, I'll be showcasing my opinions on what these changes are going to entail for your fun in Blitz. Now, to be fair, we don't know what the other changes are, like the Soviet changes have not been released yet, neither are the British, European, or anything like that. But from what I've seen so far just on the German changes, there's going to be some big changes in Tier 10. So let's start off with the Jagdpanzer E100. View range and shell velocity are slightly reduced. Okay, nothing that really matters there. If the shell velocity is too bad, you can just run Supercharger, and you don't need view range on a tank destroyer to begin with. Reload time gets 0.8 seconds longer, okay? But to balance that out, tungsten rounds are added. So the Jagdpanzer is now going to deal 920 damage a shot. That is right, 920 damage as long as you activate tungsten shells. So, yeah, that's something. Now, to be fair, it does lose damage per minute. So overall, it's kind of a nerf. Like tungsten, yes, it is absolutely amazing. But tungsten rounds does not actually change the amount of damage you could have dealt. I could fire a standard shell and deal 1,000 damage in the Yag, whether or not I have tungsten. Tungsten just makes it so that I don't low roll. It's actually a really good consumable to basically guarantee you're not going to low roll a one-shot opponent. Apart from that, it's nothing game changing. So the Yag itself, it's actually kind of losing DPM for a little bit of a benefit. We'll have to see how that actually helps or doesn't help the vehicle. Moving on to the next tank, we have the Grill 15. For all the Grill fans out there, guess what? It's getting nerfed again! The Grill 15 shell speed and view range parameters are decreased. For some reason, it's losing view range and, again, shell velocity. Average damage per shot is reduced by 20 for all shell types. The reload time gets 0.7 seconds shorter. Why? I mean, it's going to gain DPM. It's not going to gain a crazy amount of damage per minute, but it's probably going to gain about maybe 100 or 150. But it's losing more damage per minute. The whole point of the grill is to hit hard and sit in the back of the map with insane accuracy. The accuracy doesn't feel all that special now that a Hori almost has the same alpha as it. There's literally no reason to drive a grill at this point when the Hori exists. And for all of you Waffle fans, I would not be surprised if this damage per shot decrease on the grill also affects the Waffle and the Borsig, once again destroying the other two vehicles in the line even more. The Ritter is essentially going to be the only tank I would suggest driving when it comes to German tank destroyers. So, yeah, the grill, don't worry though, it goes 3 kilometers per hour faster and terrain crossing capacity is raised. Ooh boy, I really want to go 50 in my grill. That's really the thing that's been halting its capabilities. Wargaming just doesn't understand it. Look at the thumbs up to thumbs down on the grill changes. 134 thumbs up, 1,067 thumbs down. Bro, Wargaming, you are literally smoking crack. Alright, well, let's go over the next changes. We have the mouse. I predicted, and I told this to my friend literally yesterday before the changes came out, I predicted that the mouse was going to go from what is currently pretty stale, pretty mediocre, to completely overpowered. Because, as I always say, Wargaming takes a tank that is a little underperforming, doesn't know how to balance it, and makes it broken. That's the case for the mouse. The mouse is going to be getting worse gun stabilization, which means on-movement dispersion is going to be slightly worse. However, reload time and aiming speed are going to be reduced respectively. Reload time is going to be reduced by 1 second. Yes, you heard that correctly. And the aiming time is going to be reduced by 0.4 seconds. The mouse currently sits at 2,500 damage per minute if you're running rammer. With a 1 second decrease, the mouse is now going to be sitting at 3,060 damage per minute. You heard that right. A mouse is going to have 3,060 damage per minute. Well, it's coming back in the comp, because not only is it getting a 3060 DPM gun now, it's also getting a faster aiming time, but that's not even the best part. It's also going to be having better terrain crossing capacity, and sandbag armor is going to be added. That means that now the mouse can have 3,200 hit points and 3,000 damage per minute. So yeah, the mouse is going to be completely broken now. 3,000 damage per minute on a tank with 3,200 hit points. I can't. I asked what people thought about these changes in the Blitz official Discord, and crazy enough to my opinion, a lot of people are saying it's justified because the mouse has quote-unquote been bad since 9.1. And I said that is the most flawed logic I've ever heard in my life. Just because a tank has been underperforming since a previous patch does not mean that it should get completely overbuffed to a point where it is broken. Nobody is going to want to deal with a mouse on Himmelsdorf, Rockfield, or literally any small map like Yamato Harbor barreling towards you at 3,000 DPM with 3,200 hit points. The only real change that I'm happy about is the fact that the armor in the track wheels is no longer able to be penetrated, which is a problem that has persisted with the tank for a while. There's no reason why the mouse should be penetrated through the track wheels. It makes literally no sense. If you want my opinion on what should have been done to the mouse, it's very simple. I do think it should have gotten a hit point increase. I would say just buff its base hit points to 3,150 so it can get up to like 3,300 if you're running improved assembly, and it stays at 3,150 if you're running enhanced armor. Add that onto the fact that we buff its upper plate to a point where it's impervious to any ammo, and buff the turret cheeks by about 15 millimeters. That is what I would have done to the mouse. Make it have really good armor. I don't think the gun should be good on the tank, but when it comes to the vehicle now, it's gonna be a little stupid. Actually a little more than a little stupid. It's gonna be stupid beyond belief. But let's take a look at what's coming next. VK9001P. Reticle calibration and sandbag are removed. Okay, so it's going to have, what, 26-ish hundred hit points now? 2,700 base. Reactive armor and combat stabilization are added. Honestly, that's kind of a nerf rather than a buff. I'd rather have the hit points than reactive armor. Reactive is nice, but it's a useless consumable in my eyes, because all it does is it gives you 1 or 2 shots that don't roll for as much damage. I'd rather just have the flat HP added to my tank. So that's a bit of a bummer for me. I'd rather have the HP. However, combat stabilization is going to be very nice. That means essentially that now you're going to be able to hit anything while you're side scraping very easily. So that's crazy good. And finally, upper and lower plate get stronger. By how much? We are going to have to find out. The upper plate getting stronger isn't a big deal. It's already incredibly strong and nothing really pens it, but the lower plate, now that is going to be something new. The lower plate on the VK90 is already right on the cusp of being incredibly annoying. Like, it's hard to sometimes penetrate with standard ammo if it's angled correctly. And now, if it's getting stronger, you might not be able to pen it with standard at all. So, yeah, the new VK90 is coming into play, I guess. Or the new VK72, so yeah, we'll have to see what actually happens to that lower plate armor. Speaking of the VK72, this is some weird changes. I'll voice my opinion after we break through them. Average damage per shot is being decreased, so it's going from 640 to 600, and the HE is going from 960 to 900. So those are some big changes on the average damage. Additionally, the VK72 is going to be losing 150 hit points, so it's going to be about 2,750 if you're running sandbags and improved assembly at this point. A bit unfortunate, however, the buffs to this tank completely make up for those downsides. First of all, we have the DPM increase. It's losing 2.4 seconds on its reload. What that means is that the VK72 is now going to sit at 2,700 damage per minute with rammer. That is insane levels of damage per minute for a super heavy. Now, to be fair, it's not the same as the 3K mouse, but it's still a crazy amount of damage per minute. The aiming time is also going to get half a second shorter, so those right there are two massive buffs. Add that onto the fact the vehicle is now getting improved suspension, and yeah, it's going to be a little stanky. Oh, and turret cheeks, rounded hull parts under the turret are reinforced. So what we might see here is the turret cheeks being impossible to pen, the vehicle gaining DPM, and being a lot faster. For any of you that don't know what improved suspension is, if we make our way over to the Type 71, improved suspension increases terrain crossing capacity by 25%. Essentially what that means is on any terrain, you're going to be driving a lot faster on acceleration, and you're going to be able to turn a heck of a lot faster. We can see for the Type 71, it increases the hull traverse speed by 7 degrees a second. We can imagine for the VK72, that would be a rather broken buff. Not only that, but it increases your average speed and your overall acceleration on any type of terrain. So yeah, that's a little stupid, especially for a German super heavy. Add that into the fact the turret cheeks and hull under the turret cheeks are going to be buffed. And yeah, it seems like the VK72 is going to be kind of busted. But again, we'll have to find out. It's still keeping tungsten, I should point out. Making our way to the E100, oh boy, this vehicle is going to be kind of crazy. But it's also losing some damage per minute. The average damage per shot is going up to 680, which is nice, but its reload is being increased by 1.53 seconds. I actually haven't calculated the effective DPM of the E100 yet, so I figured we'd do that right now. If we make our way over to the Germans and go over to the E100, we can see that currently it sits at a 16.48 second reload. So if we very quickly do 16.48, there you go, 16.48, and then what was the additional? It was 1.53, so let me pull up my calculator again, and we add in 1.53. Its reload is now going to be 18 seconds. Holy long. That's like 183 levels of reload there. So we do 60 divided by 18 seconds, and then we multiply that by 680. E100 is going to be sitting at 2,266 DPM next update from its current 2,330. So it's not a huge nerf, to be fair, on the DPM. It's not really losing a lot. It's about 100, not even. But it is going to affect the tank quite a bit. The problem is that now the vehicle is going to hit harder, but if you miss, you're going to lose a second and a half. So if you're dealing with a push or anything like that, the vehicle is going to be a little bit less effective because of the fact you're not going to be able to get out more shells on more opponents. But it's not a huge change. It's only a second and a half. I think it's a buff overall. It's definitely going to make the 100 hit a lot harder, especially because the biggest thing is the accuracy has not changed. So yeah, E100 is just going to be pretty nasty. Moving on, we have the Leopard 1. Leopard 1 is going to be broken now. First of all, view range is going to be 270 meters base, which is kind of insane. I don't know what the view range is base right now, but it's going to be better. So what that means is it'll be really good for dealing with lights. But better than that, the reload time gets 0.29 seconds shorter. Now, normally 0.29 seconds doesn't sound like a whole lot. You know, if you were to buff the E100's reload by 0.29 seconds, you wouldn't notice a huge difference because it's an 18-second reload right now. However, the Leopard 1 has like a 6-second reload, and it features 360 damage per shot. The Leopard currently has 3,700 DPM. Would you like to know what it's going to next update? 3,970. Yes, you heard that right, 3,970. The Badger and Object 263 currently sit at the most damage per minute in Tier 10 at 3,856. Yeah, the Leopard is now going to have 100 more DPM than that. The Leopard is now the crowned king of the most DPM until we see the other balance changes. The Soviet changes are in like another week or so, and the British changes will probably be in another week after, so I guess we'll have to see. But as of right now, the Leopard is going to be a little dang stupid. Gun depression does get decreased by 1 degree, so it's going to go from 9 degrees to 8, but still, that's plenty to work any ridgeline. Yeah, that's stupid. The leopard's just going to be broken now. E50M. It is going to get APCR as a base shell. Okay. Shell of speeds is adjusted downward, so it's getting reduced shell velocity. I guess they kind of worded that terribly. Guess we'll find out. Turret front is going to be buffed, and upper plate is going to be buffed. Side armor is going to be buffed, so a lot of big buffs here to the E50M's armor. We'll have to see by how much. Right now, the E50M turret is already super cringe to penetrate, especially in a medium, due to the way that it's just such a small target. And if they buff it to a point now where mediums can't even pen it, yeah, that's going to be a little stupid. So I guess we'll find out. Finally, we have the Kampfpanzer 50-ton. It gets AP as a base shell, and all shell speeds are reduced. Okay. And it's getting tungsten and gunpowder. To be fair, tungsten, it's going to be really nice. It's going to give this tank like 4k DPM effectively, but I don't think it's going to be game-breaking because you are going to have to either run double consumable now, tungsten and adrenaline, or you're going to have to just run one of them, which is probably what I'll end up doing. At that point, it's going to take away from a lot of the effective capabilities. You still need repair kits. A lot of people think tungsten is a massive buff, but you do still need repair kits to make your tanks effective in the front line and not getting tracked. So I personally run either tungsten or adrenaline for the majority of the tanks. So we'll see. Hopefully enjoyed today's video. There's a lot of changes. Some of them are stupid. Most specifically, the mouse, I think, is going to be a little stupid. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.